Good morning, everybody. Stu Smith here. Happy Monday. Mm. Yes, it's time. We are going live and waiting to see if StreamYard is going to hook me up to Instagram. There we go. So we're going live on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Taking questions here, but first, this is all about first week of the year. This is really when the new year starts, when you don't have a middle of the week holiday. This is the first full week of the new year. How you doing? How you focused? Are you ready to do whatever you had planned? For most of us, it's simply a matter of taking action. But there's a difference between just moving and actually having focused action. In fact, writing an article on it right now, and I broke down the word action into an acronym. And let me just do that while you guys congregate. Let me just tell me what you think of this. Action. A, ask yourself why. Why are you doing this? Because one day you're going to need an answer to that question. Because I promise you, there'll be days when you just don't feel like doing something and you have to do it anyway. And that question is, why am I doing this? Why do I have to get up early? Why do I have to not eat cookies? Why do I, why did I quit drinking soda? Whatever bad habits you're quitting, whatever good habits you're starting, it's tough. There's going to be days when you just don't feel like doing it, but you have to keep doing it. So ask yourself why. Come up with a good reason why. I don't care what that reason is. Want to make a sports team? Want to lose 20 pounds? Want to lose 100 pounds? Want to join a spec ops unit this year? So many different things. Doesn't have to be physical, can also be mental, school, can be business, making money. All right, so ask yourself why, because you need a good answer to that question when times are tough and you just don't feel like doing it. Motivation is low and you got to have a reason why. Then here's C, create and commit to the plan. Keep it small. Nothing robs success by making this gigantic plan. Have a plan that your first step only takes 5 minutes, right? And these little tiny steps helps you build momentum, one step at a time. Next thing you know, you've eaten that whole elephant. Because how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Decision over perfection is part of this commit to the plan. A good plan executed now is better than a perfect plan executed next week. Who said that? General Patton. He said that, and it's great because a lot of times people just procrastinate trying to build the perfect plan, and you need to move with direction and focus, but it doesn't have to be a perfect plan, right? Sometimes good plan is perfect enough. All right, so T of action is trim dead weight and distractions. Organize, declutter, take time to relax, breathe. In the middle of your day, get up out of your workspace or whatever you're doing that is stressful. Go for a walk, 10 minutes, come back. Little things like that can help you de-stress, reduce anxiety, and just make your focus a little more intentional when you do that. I ignite physical and creative energy. Movement helps. You got to move. Whether this is a physical goal, a business goal, personal goal, whatever, you got to keep moving. And even if it's a hardcore goal, you have to progress logically to that. And you do this, it helps you alleviate anxiety again because you're physiologically countering the catabolic effects of stress by moving and de-stressing. That's just the way it works. And if you're stuck, go for a walk, do 10 jumping jacks, take 3 big deep breaths, focus, and break that grip of anxiety and overthinking that often leads to unorganized thoughts and just lack of any movement whatsoever. Um, let's see. O is own it. Take ownership. Take full responsibility of the process. This is your goal, your idea, your project. And if you execute it well, it could be life changing for you. That's a big deal. And something too, when you take ownership of something, you accept that there are going to be problems. There are going to be hurdles that you have to climb. And your role as a decision maker, empowers you to take action when that occurs versus just stopping and freezing. All right. So take ownership. Move from the victim of your circumstances to the author of your solution. I like that one. So you're in control. And in last one, never give up. Never give up. Never quit. Just like Einstein says, I didn't fail. I found 10,000 ways that building a light bulb didn't work. All right. So it's a mindset. Really is. Never quit mindset. Part of that in keep on going. You do that through consistency, working out and doing things, studying, working when you don't feel like it. That builds habits, and those habits create mental toughness. Whenever you do something when you don't feel like it, you are building your brain. It is getting stronger. It is scientifically proven that you are getting tougher when you do things that you don't want to do. And that, my friend, is the key to everything. Everything in your future lies to what you do right now and how bad you want it. So there we go. That's my future article. Not quite done with it. It'll be up on military.com later today. There's a link over there on military.com. Actually, sorry, on the YouTube channel that you can see the description. There's a link, military.com fitness section. I've been writing articles over there for over 20 years. Got a whole bunch of them. So check them out. All types, from mindset to individual workouts as well. All right, let's take some questions here. Looks like we got a few. Harry says over on Instagram, wanted to go Intel route in Navy and can't join surface or special warfare because of eye waivers. In your career, which Intel jobs did you work with, and do you know if they are on ships a lot? Yeah, there are Intel guys on ships, but they're also on land. My daughter married an Intel officer of the Marine Corps. He's on deployment right now on land. Yeah, they do cool stuff. I mean, we had Intel officers at the team. There's Intel officers at Dev Group, so you can really move into some really unique jobs in that world because you need Intel officers, Intel specialists. Is it possible to go from poor swimming to be able to swim, be able to become capable of swimming for recon Marines? Absolutely. It takes time. It's going to kind of suck because I will say this: probably the worst swimmer I've ever coached, who became a SEAL, swam across the pool horribly. Probably took 20 strokes to get across, where most people get it in 5 or 6 using the CSS. And he had the CSS down. He just was skipping the whole glide phase and just working way too hard. But he got across the pool, and that was his first time ever swimming across a pool. So that guy became a SEAL. Absolutely. If you're already better than that, you can definitely become recon Marine. I promise you. But it takes practice. My advice is you're going to have a 500-meter swim with camis on for that test and you're going to tread with those camis on. Get good at all of those things. And then learn how to swim the combat swimmer stroke with fins, without fins, because you'll be doing that in basic recon school when you're swimming over there. But that test is a 500-meter swim with cami top and bottoms, and it sucks. My advice would be maybe not do the CSS with that one. And we've had a couple of guys on our YouTube and Instagram and TikTok pages swimming camis, and you can see how they're doing it. I teach it a little different for those guys because you can apply the elementary side stroke to this swim and be moderately fast. The cami is going to slow you down anyway, but you can keep your head out of the water and do that elementary side stroke. So my advice is this: take a look at the elementary side stroke, learn that, get fast at it, apply clothes to it, and then start treading with clothes. And if you're having a hard time with treading, it's usually a mobility issue. Make sure you're stretching and foam rolling and moving hips, knees, and ankles so you get a full range of motion on those kicks, swimming or treading. And I got articles on those. In fact, you can just Google that. Google any of that, put my name in it, you'll see articles. Do you recommend guys to take small taper before boot camp or get those last few workouts in shipping because boot camp will be the taper? That's what I have said countless times. Boot camp is your taper. Go into it burned out, needing a rest because you'll probably run about 10 miles in 8 weeks at Navy boot camp. What are your thoughts on sauna and cold plunge? Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. If you want to do it, do it. I've seen some science on it that it seems to be pretty good for a variety of reasons. But I think you need to learn timing. Sauna after a workout, very good. Cold plunge after a strength training or muscle building workout, not good. So make sure you understand when to use them. After a really hard run, cold plunge, yes, absolutely. Hey, Stu, getting used to the dive mask, and I'm fastly getting better. Any tips on improving underwater swim, or what stroke would you recommend? Yeah, underwater swim. I got a lot of videos on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. You can see them, but basically it works like this. You're going to pull glide, kick glide. So glide, good streamline. You should look like a torpedo, not a plow. If you're gliding like this, just plow in water. Get underwater, go deep. Big double arm pull, hold that glide probably 3-4 seconds if you can do it, and then kick and recover tight and hold that glide for a couple of seconds. Pull glide, kick glide. There's no reason why you can't, with a kick off the wall, no reason why you can't get 25 yards in 4 strokes, maybe 5, if you're gliding. Now, with the front flip, part of that underwater swim, it might add another stroke to it, but it doesn't add much. Maybe a 5th stroke if you're doing 4. As a young Canadian distraught with the current state and values of his country, how often did you see foreign-born individuals join the teams in SOCOM? Oh yeah, several times. You have to become a U.S. citizen first to join any special ops program or anything that requires a clearance. Officer, intel specialist, spec ops. You all have to be a citizen first. In fact, I wrote an article about it. If you do special ops, foreign to special ops, Stu Smith in the Google machine, you'll find me. All right, last question over here on Instagram, then I'll get you guys over here on YouTube. Interesting question here, Stu, but I'm wondering if you can shed light, if possible. Okay. What is it like being a minority in a pipeline in the teams if you can't answer, totally understand? I don't know. I'm not one. Um, the teams are very diverse, believe it or not. Not necessarily white or black, or brown, uh, but they are diverse in size, height, width, poundage, um, weight, um, abilities, backgrounds, religions. I mean, there's diversity in the teams. It's just not black or white. There tends to be a lot more, um, white people in the teams. Um, just the way it is. Now we had a couple of African Americans on our team. They were great teammates. In fact, both of them kicked most people's butts in swimming, um, and did great things. Went on to become master chiefs. So, it's I don't have an answer for you. What's it like? I mean, everybody gets joked on. You got to have thick skin, whether you come from the South like me or you're a northerner or West Coast cowboy or whatever. Everybody has their background that they tend to blend in with a team with. All right, so we got a lot of questions over here. Let me get to these, um, but I do have several friends I can refer you to. What have you heard about actual changes in water pool in relation to AFSOC pipeline? How much have they really changed it? How are you having your guys prepare? I haven't changed anything how they prepare. Eventually, they're going to have to figure this out. I think they have changed some of it where there isn't a water portion to it unless you're going PJ. So I don't know. Um, last I've heard, my advice is go talk to the Ones Ready guys. Listen to their podcast because they usually are right on top of it. I have seen it go back and forth. We have guys in the pipeline right now. Some that just finished the pipeline that did the old way. Some that came in, still had water stuff. As of December of last year. So I don't know. All right. Tied to the above, for your current Air Force guys, are you having them mostly train CSS or freestyle? Just as important, besides the 50-50, what's your fave swim workout to give non-swim athletes? Um, yeah, we do both CSS and freestyle. We swim with fins using the lead arm trail arm version, but they also learn the CSS version. We do a lot of buddy breathing, snorkel drills for those guys because that's what they do. Over unders, a lot of those. Yeah, but yeah, I have an Air Force 50-50. Have you seen that one? Check out the Air Force 50-50. Especially for you guys. New workout for the Air Force, special warfare 50-50. In fact, I'll put a link here in the comment section over here. There we go. Any advice for second phase? Yeah, man, just learn procedures. The hardest test that you will have will be OC8 or pool comp. And there's just a lot of procedures, whether they're safety procedures. These procedures are meant to keep you alive. So practice them till you can't get them wrong. And everything that you do underwater is going to have a process, whether that is, you can't breathe anymore, so you got to find your air source. You can't untangle it this way, so you take it off, take your weight belt off, put it on the tanks. There's things that if you don't do, you fail. Listen and learn. That's my advice. DJ Shipley talks exceedingly highly of you And it said every SOF candidate should be following your programs and your programs alone. Is there any chance of you doing a podcast or video together? Yeah, I need to talk to him. He and I've known him since he was a teenager before he went to Buds, and his dad. And yeah, I'd love to get on his show or him on mine. In fact, we may do that. I may get a 2 through and after with DJ. That'll be a fun one. We can talk it. In your opinion, what is the most effective water confidence drill that I should be doing? Good question. I have one that I like to do. In fact, we do this every week. And if you look at this article, you'll see the workout in here. Basically, it is the drown proofing test, but instead, and you're just simulating it, you're not tying yourself up. But instead of check this out right here, workouts and techniques that help you with drown proofing safely. Instead of just doing the drown proof test as written, as it goes, like bobbing, floating, travel, front flip, back flip, pick up your mask with your teeth, you do a 100-yard swim in between each event. And let me tell you, coming back winded, and we usually start off with like a 5-minute tread. Then you swim, then you come back and got to catch your breath bobbing for 5 minutes. Very tough to do when you are winded from that 100 and trying to catch your breath bobbing. Catching your breath floating, not too hard, unless you're really negative, then you're not catching your breath, you're really fighting it to stay up. So it's a great one to learn. It's a great one to learn some pool confidence. I've seen people like show up their first day and panic, eyes wide open, like I can really see them struggling with it. And by the third, fourth time we do it, and within a month, we only do it once a week, sometimes twice, depending on the workouts. They got it down, and then by the 20th time they do it, if they're here with me for 6 months or so, it's like the easiest test they will ever do at Buds. But it's a good one. It really does help build water confidence. But there's others. Life-saving, rescuing a panicked victim halfway across the pool, bringing them to the edge. That sucks. That's like underwater wrestling. So we do a life-saving drill where your partner's down on the bottom. You grab your partner, swim them up to the surface, and you have to swim them to the other side of the pool. Now, you're 3 yards away from this edge, which kind of sucks, but you got to swim them to the 25 yards to the other side. And that's hard. And then you guys both swim back, and the other guy is now getting rescued. You just do that like 3-4 times each. But we got a whole bunch of them. Over-under is a great one. How do you typically advise breaststroke pullout? What are the pros and cons of doing? Have you seen my to pull out or not article? Great debate. Do you pull out or not? Read this. You'll see how I teach it as well as advise for it with sometimes some people I will take it out completely because it's so bad, right? So when you kick off that wall and you do a double arm pull, and it's okay, you get a little bit further, and then you come up, and because you come up awkwardly, you just stop. So you've lost all momentum that you created off that wall. So you're going as fast as you will ever be, and then you stop in the 10 yards off the wall. That's a great reason to just take it out for now. You don't have to keep it out, but I will say this. I've had people so bad at that pull out, and we just said, stop doing it. It hurts me to watch you do it. And they drop 40 seconds off their 500-yard swim time. That's how much momentum they were losing. And if you understand momentum, that is speed. And having to recreate that speed with the next strokes is really challenging. So that's when I advise it. when you're transitioning out of it and it's a horrible transition. How do you know what day is appropriate to scale back the workout for recovery sake, injury versus gutting it out and working through? This is the hardest question to answer. What's the balance between optimal training and mental toughness? Great question. I've always said there's a fine line between mental toughness and stupidity, and it is true. Um, but you have to know. And my advice is this: sometimes, like today, like I am personally taking it easier these first 3 weeks of the year because last year, even though it was a good year, highly stressful, I'm kind of burned out. And I know that. Can I push harder and keep doing it and just be more burned out? Absolutely. Could even get sick because I'm just burning myself out. Right. So there's a difference. There's a difference between your mind saying, I really don't feel well, than your body saying, I really don't feel well. That's the difference. Like I wake up every day and my mind is like, oh man, I got to get up. I'm really comfortable right now. And then you get up anyway, right? But there's that second that goes through your brain that really don't feel like getting up right now. That 5 o'clock came really early. I wish I could sleep another hour. I don't, but the thought is there. Now, if I listen to that thought and like I must be tired, that's not good. But if I go to the workout, I go do the warm up of that workout, I am still dragging ass. Do I pull back a little bit on that workout? Probably so. But if that workout peps me up to like, oh man, I'm ready to go now, then I just continue on and get after it. Does that make sense? Additionally, for the CSS, do you prefer frog kick, breast kick, stroke, or scissor kick? I'm a scissor kicker. I find that I prefer breaststroke kick on my weak side and scissor kick on my strong side. Seems crazy. Nope, it's not crazy. A lot of guys do that. In fact, you can kind of see it in a couple of my videos. A couple guys do that. Some guys, even with fins, prefer scissor kick or constant flutter kicks on their strong side and um, dolphin kick on their weak side because that scissor kick just feels funny on their weak side. That's fine too. Something I did was I used to like on my strong side a big scissor kick with little flutter kicks, which I found to be very useful with current because I could just do a big scissor kick and not even kick the little flutter kicks and just glide along with the current. And then when I turned around, I went on my weak side and just constantly flutter kicked. I personally like constant flutter kicks on my weak side, big scissor kick, little flutter kicks on my strong side. But that's with fins. Without fins, some people have similar um, challenges. Final question from Bjorn for SOF medics, 18 Delta, PJs, SART, SOIDC. How similar or different are they in your opinion? What are your experiences between like with those professions? That's a big question. I will just say this in general. All of them are incredible. I have worked with all of them. I known many. Um, I would say both 18 Delta and PJs are probably top notch. SARC, SOIDC aren't bad either. I'm not saying that they're worse or anything. I'm just saying some of the smartest people I've ever met have been 18 Deltas and PJs and Marine Corps officers. Go figure. But, some of the really smart people in the business are those guys for sure. Not saying SARC and SOIDC and SEAL Medic are any different, but they're good. For boot camp, if you are at 18 division, is that still a taper? Yes. They keep saying they're bringing the 800 division back until I get a letter saying, hey, the 800 division's back. It's awesome. From students. I always tell them to write. I'll write you back. Um, I have not had one saying that it's there. Maybe it is, but I don't know. It's supposed to come back this fiscal year, which was now. I don't know. I haven't heard people really like saying it's the best thing ever. I'm so glad they have it. It's not enough. You're still going to get out of shape. What is a good way to practice buddy toe in the pool without a buddy? Good question. Um, we should just swim another brick. Like so one hand is wrapped around a brick, stayed out of the air, and you just do it this way. I know it's not similar, um, but it works. Learn CO2 O2 tables. Never did it. Is the swim a sprint? I don't know what you're saying. And what? We sprint when we swim, yes. But is it a sprint for a 500-meter test? No. You got to learn your pace. You got to be fast. You want as fast as you can, but that doesn't mean sprinting. Ask better questions. I use rubber bands around my wrist and ankles when bobbing. They keep you constricted but easy to break. Yeah, that's fine. We do the same thing. Also, going to throw this out there for guys that don't know, but there is now drone school in SQT. Hell yeah. I mean, of course there is. I mean, drones are evolving right in front of us every day throughout war-torn areas. We better be on top of drones. Every branch of service needs them. Did you ever work with Norwegians? The Jaegers? Met some, never worked with some. Let me see what else we got over here. Morning, sir. Any tips on how to deal with work under sleep deprivation during selection, like taking 5-10 minute naps after helping others in the teams, or else? I'm not sure what you're asking. Sleep deprivation sucks. During selection, you just grit through it, man. There's nothing you can really do to enhance your ability to stay awake. But I promise you this, they're going to keep you so busy that you're going to stay awake. And anytime they don't, they know they can't let you sit still after a certain period of time because everybody falls asleep. There's this one section, I think it was day 3 or day 4, I can't remember. But we went into this room and it was warm and it felt so good. And we hadn't slept for 3 or 4 days, and they asked us to write an essay, and you had to handwrite it. And I think most people, to the person, fell asleep in the middle of writing an essay. I would have loved to have seen some of those essays. Not sure what's going on in the human brain and if it can even get to pen to paper. But I remember writing. I don't remember what I wrote about, but I remember writing, and then I fell asleep. And then the instructor, everybody yells and say, "Wake up." I don't have any tips for you how to stay awake. Just, you know, have a why that keeps you awake. Just finished your PJ's Air Force program. Loved it. Thanks. How'd you do? Scores do pretty well. I thought you'd like that one. What's the 800 division? Evidently, there is a group that if you are a SEAL, EOD, diver, SWIC, they will do extra workouts in the morning before everybody else wakes up. So it is time for you to go to the pool, maybe, or go run or do some calisthenics or something. Extra workouts a couple times a week. I don't think it's active yet, but I could be wrong. I don't have all the information. I've heard countless times for the last 2 years that they're going to do it in the next quarter, and it doesn't happen. So Until everybody says, oh, yeah, 800 divisions there, I'll believe it. For Coast Guard rescue swimmers, is the ratio running, swimming weekly while training similar to what you recommend for someone training for buds? Not really. I mean, you're still going to run, you're still going to do land PT, things like that, but you're going to spend most time in the water. I mean, there's a couple hours in the morning, couple hours in the afternoon. You will be in that swimming pool doing stuff, lots of stuff, and you will come to hate getting wet just as much as guys at Bud. So, it's very similar, though. I would say it's more swimming than running. Whereas at Buds, I would say it's more running than swimming. Is that for boot camp or OCS or both? No, just boot camp. OCS is you can actually work out on your own after the first month. And usually all the spec ops guys get some really good workouts in for a couple of hours a day. All right. Looks like I powered through those questions. Man, you guys asked a lot today. I appreciate it. Glad you guys are sticking around. If you guys don't know, I do have a community over on School, and I did a live Q&A last night. I call Sunday Night Swim. In fact, I'll just show it, and I'll put the link over here. So this is my Stu Smith Tactical Fitness community. As you can see, it's really just a web board, where we talk about this. The Sunday Night Swim video here. This is my article about what I'm doing the first 3 weeks of January. I mentioned, and just other articles. Everywhere, everything from. Got a question here I need to answer. Looks like so people post questions in here, send me videos, and I critique them this way. This was a live Q&A. We had some people on, and we just chat. Yeah, they actually can log in with their video and ask the question, so that's kind of fun. This is the classroom where I actually sell things, from courses to this is a free video now, and ebooks you can download. Calendar. I don't have anything on the calendar. I was going to do Sunday night swims, but I'm going to start doing Sunday night swims at the academy again at 7 p.m. So that keeps me busy. But here's the invite. I'm going to copy this invite for you and put it in the comment section. If you guys want to go check it out, check it out. There's an invite for those of you coming in on Instagram. If you go to my story, there's an invite for the Sunday night swim that should be up for another 6-7 hours. So go check that out. And yeah, come on back. Stu Smith Fitness, check it out. You can get all kinds of programs over there. Email me, Stu at Stu Smith. If you're missing any, if I missed your questions, happy to answer them. But here's my email, stu at stusmith.com. Check out stusmithfitness.com for more articles and programs and courses and coaching. And don't forget, if you're looking for just CSS critiques, go check out my TikTok page, StuSmith50. And you'll see a bunch of them there. All right, I'll be back tomorrow. We'll do a live Q&A again, and I'll show some CSS critiques. Send me some CSS videos if you want me to critique them. Happy to do that. No cost. Can't argue with the price. I will see you guys tomorrow. You guys have a good one.